Alright, so let me tell you about a real superstar in the coin world. We're talking about the 1856 Flying Eagle penny. Now, whenever one of these walks into my shop, my heart skips a beat. You see, this isn't just any old piece of copper, it's a piece of American history you can hold in your hand. This coin marked a huge change for the US Mint and for the pockets of everyday Americans. It was the first small-sized 1-cent piece, and believe me, that was a big deal back in the day. Before this little guy came along, pennies were massive, heavy copper coins that people were getting pretty tired of carrying around. This coin was the future. Let's step back in time a bit, to before 1856. The pennies people were using were called large cents, and when I say large, I mean it. They were almost the size of a modern half-dollar, made of pure copper, and they were heavy. Imagine having a pocket full of those. The price of copper was also going up, which meant the mint was actually losing money making them. The coin was worth less than the metal it was made from. That's a bad business model, and the government knew it had to do something. They needed a smaller, cheaper coin that people would actually want to use. It was time for a revolution in pocket change. So, the director of the US Mint, a smart guy named James Ross Snowden, started experimenting. He had this idea for a new alloy, a mix of 88% copper and 12% nickel. This new metal was lighter, looked brighter, almost like silver, and was much cheaper to produce. It was the perfect solution to their problem. They could make smaller coins without losing money on the metal. This copper-nickel blend gave the new pennies a distinct look, which is why they were sometimes called white cents, or nicks. It was a bold move, trying to change something as fundamental as the penny, but it was a necessary one. The stage was set for a new coin to make its debut. The old clunky large cents were on their way out, and the public was ready for something better. The US Mint needed a design that would capture the nation's imagination and signal this new era. It had to be something powerful, something that screamed America. This wasn't just about making a cheaper coin. It was about modernizing the country's currency and giving the people a coin they could be proud of. The little coin that would emerge from this challenge would become one of the most famous and sought after in American numismatics. Now, for the fun part, the design. How do you pick an image for a coin that's supposed to change everything? The Mint's chief engraver, James B. Longacre, was the artist behind the magic. He looked back at an earlier design used on silver dollars from the 1830s, created by a guy named Christian Gobrecht. That design featured a majestic eagle in flight, and it was beautiful. Longacre adapted this powerful image for the new penny. It was a perfect symbol for a young, ambitious country soaring to new heights. On the back, he placed a simple, elegant wreath of corn, cotton, wheat, and tobacco, representing the agricultural strength of the nation. It was a home run. With the design locked in, the Mint had to convince Congress to authorize the new coin. This is where it gets interesting. To show lawmakers how great the new penny was, Director Snowden decided to strike a few samples in 1856. These weren't meant for your pocket, they were pattern coins. Think of them as prototypes made to show off the new size, weight, and design. He wanted to create a buzz and get important people excited. He handed these coins out to senators, congressmen, and other influential figures. It was a brilliant marketing move. Look at this, he was basically saying, this is the future of money. So, how many of these 1856 patterns were made? That's the million-dollar question, or in this case, the $50,000 question. No one knows the exact number for sure, which is part of its mystique. The official records are a little fuzzy. Most experts believe somewhere between 1,500 and 2,500 were originally struck. Some were given to politicians, while others went to well-connected collectors who knew something special was happening at the Mint. These weren't just coins, they were exclusive sneak peeks, and that made them desirable from the very beginning. Everyone wanted to get their hands on one. The plan worked perfectly. Congress was impressed, and in February 1857, they passed a law that officially discontinued the old large cent and authorized the new small cent. The Flying Eagle penny went into full production for the public in 1857 and 1858. But that 1856 coin, the one that started it all, was never officially released into circulation. It remained a special, limited edition piece. It was the trailblazer, the one that paved the way. And because it was never meant for the masses, it instantly became the prize that every serious collector wanted to chase. So, Why is the 1856 Flying Eagle penny so valuable? It comes down to the classic formula: low supply and high demand. As I said, maybe only a couple thousand were ever made. Compare that to the tens of millions of pennies made in the years that followed. From day one, it was a rare coin. Coin collecting was becoming a popular hobby in the mid-19th century, and these new pattern coins were the hottest item on the market. Collectors knew the 1856 was special because it was the first of its kind and wasn't available to the general public. That scarcity created a frenzy that has never really died down. Now, here's a little secret that makes the story even better. The mint director Snowden might have been a little sneaky. After the initial batch was made in 1856, it's rumored that he secretly had more coins struck in later years, using the original 1856 dies. Why? To trade them with collectors for other rare coins he wanted for the mint's official collection. It was a bit of a gray area, but it meant more 1856 pennies entered the market than just the original batch. These restrikes are nearly impossible to tell from the originals, and it just adds another layer of intrigue to the coin's history. It's a story with a little bit of drama, and collectors love that. The value of this coin shot up almost immediately. By the late 1850s, it was already selling for a couple of dollars, which was a ton of money back then for a penny. As the years went by and the hobby of numismatics grew, the legend of the 1856 Flying Eagle grew with it. It became known as one of the great rarities of American coinage. Finding one was, and still is, the dream of many collectors. Today, the value depends heavily on the coin's condition. A worn, beat-up example might still fetch thousands of dollars, but a pristine, uncirculated one? We're talking tens of thousands, sometimes even more. It's a true blue-chip collectible. There are also a few fun facts that make this coin even cooler. For one, the Flying Eagle isn't technically a bald eagle. The design is based on Gobrecht's artwork, which is believed to depict a bird in flight, but not necessarily our national symbol. It's more of an artistic representation of freedom and power. Also, because of the hard copper-nickel alloy, the dies used to strike the coins wore out very quickly. This is why the Flying Eagle design only lasted for 2 years of full production, 1857 to 1858, before being replaced by the Indian head penny in 1859. The coin was brilliant, but difficult to make. The Flying Eagle penny may have had a short life, but its impact was enormous. It completely changed the game for American currency. It proved that a small, convenient, and inexpensive coin could be successful. It set the standard for the 1-cent piece that we still use today, even though the metal content has changed many times. Every time you see a modern penny, you can thank the Flying Eagle for paving the way. It was the coin that retired the big heavy coppers of the past and introduced a new era of pocket change that was practical for a growing and fast-moving nation. It was a small coin that made a huge difference. For American collectors, the 1856 Flying Eagle penny is more than just a rare coin. It's a cornerstone of the hobby. It represents the ultimate prize for someone who collects small cents. Owning one is like owning a piece of the U.S. Mint's own history. It tells a story of innovation, politics, and a little bit of backdoor dealing. It's a tangible link to a pivotal moment when America was modernizing. The eagle soaring across the coin is a powerful symbol of the nation's own journey and ambition during that period. It's a coin that makes you feel proud of the history and ingenuity of the country. Even today, on March 8, 2026, the legend of this coin continues to grow. It's featured in countless books, auction catalogs, and museum displays. Every time one comes up for sale, it makes headlines in the collecting world. New collectors hear the stories of its rarity and the mystery surrounding its creation, and they get hooked. The hunt for an 1856 penny is a rite of passage for many numismatists. It's a treasure hunt that has been going on for over 160 years, and it shows no signs of stopping. That's the mark of a truly iconic coin. So, the next time you find a penny on the street, take a second to think about its long and fascinating history. It all started with the 1856 Flying Eagle, a bold experiment that became a legend. It's a beautiful piece of art, a rare treasure, and a symbol of American progress. And in my business, you learn that an object with a story that good is always worth a lot more than the metal it's made of. And the story of the 1856 Flying Eagle? Believe me, it's one of the best. You never know what's gonna come through that door.